sadness to this from some people. There's a mixed from others. Jarell Quansah, we kind of got the official here we go yesterday, late last night, didn't we? Bayer Leverkusen, 35 million package, but also the key thing to quote, a buyback in the deal, apparently. I know Lewis Steele and others that have put that out there at the same time as well. What are your thoughts and feelings around Liverpool selling Quansah, the fee, the buyback, everything that comes into it?
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of sad. You've got a local lad there who's come through the academy and looked like he had the world at his feet last summer, and then it's just kind of fallen apart from him a little bit under the new manager, hasn't it? And he's just not looked the same. I mean, he's not suddenly a terrible player. It's just, he just clearly needs minutes and regular minutes to be the best version of himself, and he isn't going to get that at Liverpool. So this is a move that makes sense for everyone. The fee's decent. I'd say getting a buyback is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, whether Liverpool, it feels unlikely to me that Liverpool will ever trigger that, really. It doesn't happen incredibly often in football, does it? But to have that option when he could really develop at Bayer Leverkusen and show what he's all about, it's great business to have got that done, really. So, it's sad that it's kind of not worked out for him at Liverpool this time, but maybe we'll see him again. And also, I think for him, in terms of his prospects of getting in the England squad and showing just how good a talent he is, because he is, let's not forget that. This is a really, really smart move for him. So I really hope it works out.
And a centre-half I never thought we'd be talking about even all this time later, but it looks like Nat Phillips may be off to a permanent deal to West Brom. I mean, it will be a small amount in the grand scheme of elite football, but there's almost a niceness that we're freeing Nat Phillips as though this is like a nationwide campaign after all this time.
Yeah, no, yeah. I've still found it strange down the years that he hasn't been able to get a move, because he's clearly good enough. He's not Liverpool level, but he's a decent centre half. He's not the quickest, but a lot of centre halves aren't. He wins his headers. He's tidy enough on the ball, as that little Cruyff turn in the San Siro proves. So I just don't think he's a bad player, and I've seen people do him down a lot, but I don't really kind of agree with that. I think there's a decent player in there that should have been playing at a decent level for much longer. So something like West Brom would be good for him, I think. I do wonder, Liverpool, with that kind of contract they handed out to him after the season where he helped them get top four, whether there might have been a little bit of regret around that because of how long he's kind of stuck around after and how much they've struggled to move him on. But, I think he's very much loved by Liverpool fans, and they'll want to see him go on and do well elsewhere. And, I'm confident that he will, because I think he's a good player.
Yeah, just feel like he just needs to move on for everyone's sake. And I suppose, speaking of players we don't want to move on, this was in The Guardian this morning about Ibrahima Konate, and the latest round of talks don't seem to have been that fruitful with Liverpool. I mean, it doesn't look good, all the noise, all the signs, but I still think, and I know you've mentioned it before, Gay, anything aside, it just makes sense to keep him for the year, doesn't it? Whatever, just to give ourselves the best shot of winning as many trophies as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very much of that mindset. I mean, particularly with all the turnover that we're already talking about, it just, for me, even if things aren't going too well on the contract talks or whatever, as a basic starting point, he should be here for next season regardless. I think we said, we kind of said similar around Mo Salah, didn't we? That, going into the season, same with Van Dijk, really, is that, no matter what, even if they don't sign, just keep them, because it gives you the best chance of being the best possible team. So I think if you want to defend the title this season, then, Konaté sticking around is an absolute must. So I'm pretty sure that will be the approach, because Liverpool have got enough to do in the market. And you are hopeful as well that they do sort these contract talks out, because, he's an excellent player who's only going to get better as well. So really hope they can get past this impasse and sort it out. And if not, then one more year of Konaté would be a big boost for Liverpool in terms of trying to win the big trophies again next season.
I know, and I'm seeing it in the chat panel already about, but you've got to put a line in the sand, sell him. Real Madrid, PSG would be interested. But is the reality, with a year left, they're going to lowball Liverpool, aren't they, realistically? And actually, for the amount they get, they'll probably look into that factor as well.
That's it. The trade-off's going to be there for Liverpool, which is kind of, look at, you're going to want to give up, give up the potential for winning the Premier League. Because I do think if you certain amount of change that they're going to submit themselves to, and particularly in defence where it's all about partnerships and things, it's kind of, okay, do you want, I don't know what the last year of a contract offer would be kind of thing, but so that's hard to kind of scale, but this amount of money, X amount of money, or do you want to have a real crack at winning both the big trophies next season? And Liverpool will say, with the amount of cash they generate, the amount of players that they've elected to allow, to leave on frees down the years, they're very much comfortable with that. They're absolutely fine about it. So, I don't think that, that will be, getting a cut price fee from Real Madrid or whatever will be something they're absolutely desperate to do. I think they'll be all about maximising the opportunities to win trophies and still be hopeful that they can get a contract sorted in this next year or so as well. So, it would make no sense for me to let him go.
Yeah, that's the centre-back talk, and there's a million things going on with that one.
It's popping off in the chat panel about when Nat Phillips' contract expires. I don't actually have it to hand now, but one thing I would say is people do this all the time, is they read transfer marked as if it means anything. And I can tell you now, they got so many contract end dates incorrect. And so I would not listen to that one at all, to use contract information. I'm not, like I say, I've not got to hand Nat Phillips information at the moment, but I can promise you now, don't read that as gospel, because very often it's not. And there's players who you'd think are leaving on a free from Liverpool this summer who definitely had contract left. I keep constantly getting told by people that Vítězslav Jaroš's contract somehow expired this summer, despite the fact that he's now gone on loan to Ajax. So yeah, don't get your contract information from there.
Yeah, I wouldn't believe that either as well. And speaking of good, jumping to the other end of the field, Darwin Nunez. Now, it's probably almost not what we want to hear, but the Napoli links from their side keep coming up. Romano also mentioning that he's their dream side and they won't even move on until they know it's a no with Darwin Nunez. But I suppose the big thing, we've talked about the Saudis in the past, Atletico Madrid, all those types of things. Napoli are not going to give Liverpool a fee that fans or us will be idealising, will they?
That's it. It's just very hard to see them putting up the sort of money that people would have hoped for when you saw those kind of Saudi links, really. And again, a kind of fee that would allow you to go out and get Alexander Isak as well. So, not ideal, really, that it's the European clubs circling. I mean, there's still potential for that Saudi interest to come back. That was big at one point. So, every opportunity for one of the clubs, at least in that league, to maybe come back in for him. And I guess at the end of the day, as much as, Napoli don't have the spending power of a Premier League club, they still should be expecting to pay a decent amount for a forward like Nunez, who, while he struggled at Liverpool, his goal record is still decent. And, he's been decent in the past. And, I think he'd go there to a weaker, slower league and probably rip it up a little bit with his pace. So, that they won't be giving him away. So as much as Napoli might be interested and they're kind of driving that story, Liverpool won't just give him away just to get him off the books. So, they'll want a decent fee. So, we shouldn't be maybe too worried about that in terms of, but of course it does make you think that it's slightly easier, isn't it, to drive a bit more money out of the Saudi clubs, that's for sure.
Yeah, and there's various reports, isn't there, around the swap deal with Chiesa, Victor Osimhen coming the other way. So we'll find out soon enough if there's anything in that one. And I've kind of not got him on the screen because we've talked about him before, but Andy Robertson, this one comes out. Actually, probably worth talking about because it seems like there's a bit of a reversal of hokey cokey because it seemed like all the suggestions were he's really keen. It almost had a sense of inevitability. But then the noises from Liverpool, various Pat's journos to walk it back, saying he's still making his decision. Have you got any latest or updates around this one at all?
Yeah, so I did this story just before I went on holiday, so I feel like I'm a little bit more across this one. My information at the time was he's just kind of considering his options, not one that was being shot down on his side of things, so not one where he was saying I'm definitely staying or anything like that. But it wasn't either that I'm definitely going to Madrid and I want to live there and those sorts of things. It's kind of seen as a big decision, and I believe he's been on, well, obviously, of course, like all the players, he's been on holiday this week. He's been away. I think he was in Portugal. yeah, I guess it's kind of decision time is coming up for him really, and he's weighing it up with his family. So yeah, nothing moving as of today on that one as things stand. But it's one of those, once he makes his decision, it will move pretty quickly and negotiations will move forward. And then it's about, will Atletico pay the kind of fee that Liverpool are looking for? We will kind of have to see, but I don't think we've got a kind of concrete move from him either way yet in terms of whether he wants to go or not. So yeah, it's just an interesting one to keep an eye on.
Are you expecting that to be soon? Because naturally we're thinking Kirk has announced this week. That almost brings a sense of reality to it for Robbo. Do you think he'll make a decision quite soon from now?
I don't think that should be too influential because he's known this is coming for a while, hasn't he? Really, it's not come as a surprise to him that Kirkez is signing. I mean, that's been trailed for months, hasn't it? So, I think he's had time now to think about it. As I say, he's been on holiday with his family and time to really think out what the next move is for them and how that'll play out and whether it's right for them. So there's no kind of urgency, but I guess from Atletico's side is they want an experienced left back, don't they? Someone who's played in the Premier League seems to be part of their kind of requirement for that for some reason. So I guess they might be putting on pressure his side, but yeah, it's totally up to him, and I can't get in his head and know what he's thinking. We'll just have to see what he decides.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. I mean, even now, looking that there's even Harvey Elliott to Brighton stories coming up. We'll see if anything develops on that one. Maybe the attackers that we talked about. This is even coming up from the German side. Potential that Cody Gakpo and Luis Diaz could be targets for Bayern Munich. I mean, Gakpo's been linked before. Diaz now seems to come into the mix. You still, just aside from Florian Wirtz and Mo Salah, you still cannot guarantee any set forward is at Liverpool next season just yet, can you?
Yeah, it's interesting with Gakpo because I just think, again, if huge money came in for him, it'll give Liverpool a decision to make. But they're not going to want, again, not going to want to do too much. There is surely going to be some limit on the turnover there. His contract situation isn't like Diaz as well, so it's not kind of decision making time either, is it? And he seems happy and settled at Liverpool, working under a Dutch coach who really likes him and has played him a lot. I'd just be surprised if he really kind of pushed for that move, or Liverpool felt like they were put into a corner where they have to sell him or anything like that. So, that one feels much further away maybe than a Diaz departure at the moment in terms of the likeliness of them. So, there might be an interest there. And you can see clearly that Bayern are looking for a left winger, but Gakpo, I struggle to really kind of see that one coming off, to be honest, because I think it'd have to be insane money for Liverpool to have to put themselves in a position where they have to replace him as well with potential Diaz and Nunez departures. It just becomes a bit crazy, really. So, not one I'm putting a lot of faith in at the moment.
It is hard to know to definite. And yeah, Luis Diaz, there's still those question marks around the contract and potential Saudis coming back in. I mean, the final question to sort of piece this all together and finish this, even as we sit here on Monday, the 23rd of June, when we're set to do this in a week's time on the 30th of June, the last day, that's the PSR deadline as well. So many things could have happened. We just can't be surprised by what's going on at the moment a little, can we?
Yeah, I've kind of forgot about that as well, actually, is that this next week or so, obviously for Liverpool, PSR is not really something they have to think of, but there might be opportunities that pop up in the same way. The Anthony Gordon story a couple of summers ago, that came out of nowhere and was because Newcastle were under pressure. What teams in the Premier League or across Europe are kind of feeling a bit of pressure in that. It would be really interesting. So it could be a little bit of a late flurry and some really surprising kind of sales being made to make things right for PSR. So potentially some bargains for Liverpool to pick up. So this week could be really interesting. A few little surprises in there.
Yeah, it will be fascinating to see how it all unfolds. But there we go, ladies and gents. So many things going on off the field, incomings and outgoings. There's just no way to say for certain what will happen. But what we can say is he needs to warm up his guitar and have that ready. So back in the groove, back to normal. All it leaves me to say as ever is, David, for the time, the insight and answering all the questions, it is much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
And ladies and gents, that was another Media Matters for Anfield Index.